Hi everyone, I'm Alejandro Morales, co-founder of Consulta Inteligente, and my innovation is failure prediction in turbines using X-ray diffraction and data modeling. So when a turbine fails, this causes catastrophic effects. This causes losses over $50 million and ongoing costs for the stop of the service. So in the recent years, 3 big failures occurred in Colombia. We did the failure analysis and we understood we need to try to predict them. So after years of development, we got the solution. We installed a device into the turbine, perform a full day of measurements, and with data modeling, we obtained the results. Then we did the failure prediction report, who contains how, where, and when the failure is going to appear. So also we provide the activities should be done for avoid the failure. So now we made a consultancy, yearly inspection services, and we have long-term contracts, and we charge $12K for each turbine. So in the world, there are 200K turbines, and that means that we need to expand our services in the same sector, but new markets like Latin America, US, UK, and Europe, but also we can use this technology to other sectors like aeronautics, mining, manufacture, and others. So for the last 10 years in my company, we provide services, but since we launched this innovation, we grow 20%. So 20 services we provide, 6 failure identified with our team. We are 2 co-founders, 4 people full-time in the R&D, and a complete support of engineers. So here in the program, we already met the CEO of Select, the main and only company in Ecuador who provides energy and generates energy, and he has agreed to start with a pilot. So what we need in this moment is expand our services, scale, and we need partners who has networks in the energy generating companies, in the turbine manufacturing companies, and the energy equipment of consultancy. Thank you.
Okay, Alejandro. Nice.
The 12K, is that per year that you charge, or just a one-off fee?
For each turbine. But we need to do every year the inspection to fix the model to the prediction and foresee if the modeling is response to the reality.
Okay, you didn't answer my question. Is the 12K, is that a one-off fee, or are you charging 12K a year?
12K a year, but for each turbine.
Yeah.
A year per turbine.
There you go. Thank you. And
for example, in Colombia, there are 98 turbines. In 8 months, we provide 20 services, but we have a 3 years and 5 years contract for the main companies in Colombia. There are 3 companies in Colombia, only 3, the biggest one. We got the 3 of them already, so we need to expand our services to Latin America, US, UK, and other sectors too.
In Europe, what sort of inspection services are the companies doing already themselves? What is the difference?
The difference is the companies made non-destructive testing by measurement indirect values or variables like hardness and other things, and try to understand what is the reality of the material. But we already have modeling and algorithms that provides how many time is going to last each turbine. And each year we fix our model to try to accurate the result.
Do you work with the turbine manufacturers?
Yes, of course. We already begin to talk with Andritz and Boyd They are the main manufacturers in the world. Maybe in a near future, we
like a
can
better
sell or
distribution
something this technology to all of them.
Like a value-added service for them, essentially.
Yes, yes, that is a great question.
Sorry, I missed a bit of the presentation, but I assume you're collecting data from all of these evaluations.
Yes.
What do you plan to do with that data going forward? Because it seems that you could also go back to the manufacturers and sell like the main reasons you've identified for failure, and they could improve their products.
Yeah, totally. And the insurance companies, because if a failure costs over $50 million, we manage the risk. We can provide some tips and the projection for each asset, and they can determine the bill or something for each kind of asset.
That's a great
that they
question.
insure.
It's one of the secondary business models. We just didn't put it in the pitch because we wanted to focus a bit more, but that's one of the areas, like selling the data back to the manufacturers and insurance companies. Yep.
And does this technology apply to anything that's high speed and rotating?
Yes. Yes.
So
Because his basics are in the knowledge of the material behavior, the mechanical behavior of each material. So we measure some variables and we project another ones, and that could be applied in aeronautics, mining, shipping, space. So for now, we are doing it in the power generator sector.
So, I mean, the thing that stands out for me is the shipping sector, where if you lose an engine or something like that, you've got a catastrophic failure of revenue, and then you've got the delivery insurance on all the goods that are on the ship.
Yeah.
Have you talked to any shipping companies, or are you just focused on turbines?
Let's focus for now.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think you'd be better off setting up some sort of second sales operation focusing on that sector in parallel, because you're going to experience a certain speed of take-up of this, and going into the electrical power market in different countries, some of them are very reticent to invest, some of them don't care because they've got monopolies. In some countries, the power company is the most hated company in the country because of their attitude.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's the opposite.
Yes.
So I think you're going to find that going into new markets, you've got a shipping industry in Latin America already.
Yeah.
So you could do that in parallel rather than going overseas.
For example, and
We need to cut off, but if you have any connections in shipping, I'm sure he'd like it. And really
Perfect,
quickly,
because
how
we
many
partners.
turbines in the world are there? could address?
200K.
200,000. Okay, thank you very much. Angela.
Thank you.
Next up is Angela. We were working last night.
Yeah, we did. Okay, good morning. My name is Angela. I'm biomedical engineering. And this is me. When I was 12 years old, I suffered a very serious medical condition. I was in coma during 13 days, and I was 1 month hospitalized. And during that time in the hospital, I get medical doctors inspire me to be part of the solution in medical researchers. People get fractured, and currently available solutions are from these kind of chips, blocks, wedges, patch, and most of them are made from cadavers. That is very expensive, and also it has a high risk of infection. And the most important thing is that leave empty spaces because it's very rigid, and most of the patients need more than one surgery. You know why is this so important? Because around the world, 9 million fractures occurs as any bone disease. And have you imagined that every 3 seconds occurs a fracture worldwide? That means that the cost of the treatments are growing up year per year. My solution is the best one because is made like is a bone substitute. Let's imagine that it's a play dough that doctors can shape in the operation theater. It's easy and fast, and feel completely the bone fracture. Our business model is licensing to medical devices companies and medical material producers. So far, we have working on patent pending formulation, and we have a prototype done, finished. We are doing testing with very positive results. And also, that is very important, we have partial funding from Tissue Bank, that is a private company of my country. So far, we have learned in LIVE program. I met 2 fellows from Mexico and Brazil, and who are going to help me to my stage in first and second trials. And another one is from Mexico that he's working in a protein, and also we have a very good relationship and possibility in the futures. And we have the best team ever in the university that is composed with doctors, chemicals, physics, most of us are biomedical engineers, and lots of medical doctors of Tissue Bank. We are looking for scientific partnership for clinical trials, and thank you very much.
Awesome!
Thank you.
Just so I'm clear, so it's a kind of like a Play-Doh, you say,
Yeah, it's like a Play-Doh.
and you fix the fracture.
And it fills completely the bone fracture. If you know,
And you have other. What's the
imagine-
competition like?
what did you say?
The competition? Do you have other people?
In our local competition, we don't have a local competition.
The blocks.
Yeah, we have like importation companies, of course.
And just one question on the financials. You didn't show any financials, but I know it's limited time. But what sort of numbers will you be doing? What sort of units do you think you'll be selling? What sort of revenue will you be doing in 2 years' time, say?
Yeah, I am in a early stage. I'm currently most of the time in the laboratory, but we are thinking about like a connection between universities and industry, and to help more people, like real people, you know, like now I stay in the university and just writing papers and earn money, and you know, like the things that needs to happen.
It's an area, though, that we can help her with if you have contacts and how to structure licensing and what's the value of that licensing, which would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have you tried this on many patients so far, or none at all?
In patients?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay. In animals?
We are going. It's the next step.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how difficult is it to make the compound?
Actually, we are like to get to this point, we have like 25 formulations before.
Okay.
So, because the doctors from Tissue Bank gave us the requirements, and if they don't like it, you see like a without particles, to fit well in the to play in the moldable, like a shape in the surgery room.
Yeah.
So it's very we are moving or figuring out what is better or how much what the right amount of the chemical compound.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And you have a compound now that works, you think? You have one compound that meets the
One
requirement?
compound is already done.
Okay,
our
and so
prototype.
when you make that, how
Yeah.
long does it take you to make a kilo of this stuff?
A kilo.
Or a gram? How much does it, how long?
1 week.
1 week?
Yeah, 1 week.
Okay, so one person, 1 week to make
A sample,
quantity, a
yeah.
sample. And that sample is enough to do one patient?
No, because probably one patient needs more than one sample. Depends on the fracture.
Okay. So at the moment, it's going to take maybe 4 weeks to make enough for one
Yeah.
patient? Okay.
They use more than a kilo in a fracture?
No.
No, I think you're misunderstanding. You can see
yeah.
many patients with a kilo.
Yeah, many patients with a kilo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in 1 week, with 1 week of working in the laboratory, I can have around, I don't know the exactly number of the samples,
Yeah.
but more than 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the benefit for the the doctor and the patient of using this is dramatic, or is it difficult to measure?
It's difficult to measure.
If the sample they use the old way, if it doesn't fit, if there's gaps, is it painful for the patient?
It's not painful, no, it's because,
No, in the old way.
the old way,
The old material, the rigid material.
yeah, because it doesn't fit very well in the bone fracture.
Okay.
And probably it's gonna be like a break again and needs a surgery again.
Okay.
So that's why we are doing like a viscoelastic material.
And have you counted how many times this occurs, that you need the second surgery?
I haven't already because it depends of the kind of the bone the kind of the product.
Yeah, I think what you need to do is you need to go to your doctor partners
Yeah.
and ask them and collect the data on how often this happens. That would be one set of data you would find very important as a percentage of all treatments.
Sure.
Because then you can extrapolate into different countries, and you can maybe compare it to different countries where the medicine is maybe different,
Yeah.
whether they have similar problems. And then the other thing that I would look at is the pieces that you're replacing, the old method, how much does that cost per operation?
No, I'm in a very early stage, you know, like
go and ask the hospital.
Go back to the where
treatment,
you have the first
treatment
slide.
that you had,
One more. One more. This.
that stuff,
Is that expensive?
yeah, it's very expensive.
compared to your, but it takes 4 weeks to make your stuff.
Oh, but just in the lab.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So you need to work out how much, if you sell yours for the same price because yours is better,
Yeah.
then how much money would you make if you sold it at that price?
Yeah, we have to work on
It
it.
doesn't have to be cheaper. If yours is better, then you can sell it at the same price. So you've got a
Yeah.
price
Could be more.
benchmark.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but you need to also find out how often this happens.
Okay.
Hey, it's just giving you some pricing ideas. Maybe you can sell it for more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Daniel. All right. Welcome. Good
Morning.
morning.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Daniel Aranguren, and my project is a smart system for thunderstorm nowcasting and risk management. When I was a child, my grandmother and my aunt were injured due to lightning in the countryside of Colombia. I was very passionate about this amazing and frightening phenomena. I studied electrical engineering, and I joined a research group where we studied that more than 24,000 people are killed by lightning every year in the world. 1.4 billion of flashes occur every year, but most of those flashes are just detected in Colombia and other tropical countries. As a consequence, more than 100 million pounds are the losses in the Colombian oil sector. Same numbers, more than 100 million of pounds are the losses in the power utilities due to damages and service interruptions. And similar numbers are in other sectors. So we created a solution that starts with sensors, precise and accurate enough, with country coverage, and a smart system that use the customer big data, use machine learning tools to create the solutions. The solutions are the most important things here. These solutions are platform as a service, hardware, smart hardware that produce safety, uptime, efficiency, and savings on a partnership model, at this moment local, but global in the future, in a B2B service model. These solutions has been tested in the oil Colombian sector, in the power transmission sector, in the Colombian Army and others, with an income, a total revenue that at this moment is more than 800,000 pounds per year. Our team is composed by 23 people, scientists, engineers, technicians in a sort of areas, but what is most important in our company is that the customer is our team. This is an example in the Colombian Army, where we developed a solution that reduced the problem in 70%. Keraunos is just located in Colombia, but the LIFT program helped me to understand that we are looking for partnership, global and local, people with connections enough, doors enough to open markets in everywhere in the world where lightning activity produce problems. We are looking for global expansion and acceleration. Every lightning strike creates a new opportunity for our company. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Bravo.
I didn't understand how the customer uses the product. I understood there's a bit of electronic equipment, and once you've installed this, what does the customer do different? So these guys who had a 70% reduction,
Yeah.
what do they do differently?
The difference is that what the customer sees is those solutions. Those are platforms, hardware, smart hardware, that in the case of the Colombian Army is this. This is an specialized hardware. It's similar to a control center that goes to the Army operations. And this hardware has all the intelligence to provide the solution. That's the customer.
But what do they do? So they see this, they see the intelligence. Do they just not go into that area because there's a danger of lightning strikes? So they say, okay, keep my people away from that space? They combine their operation information with the risk information and take decisions with this. Okay. That's the key solution. You avoid that space because you think there's going to be a lightning strike. As possible. Okay. As possible.
It's a very specific use case, but you had some other examples, electricity, like grids and so forth, but that would be a very different way of using this. How would that solution fit other industries?
Yeah, it is.
One thing is taking people, yeah.
The key answer is in this part. This expert system is scalable. So there is a core, but it can be used in a sort of applications. In the case of power systems, they combine the lightning data with more than 200,000 kilometers of our systems. And they match the data and provides valuable data to the solution. This is, for example, a power system.
But specifically, so I get this data, I'm an electricity company or power company. What actions do I take based on the data?
Nice. Very great. Yeah. Great questions. Problems are blackouts in big cities. So it is not the same situation if a lightning strike a power system in a such condition of loads, such and a different one. So in a control center, in a power utility, they can do things 10 minutes before, 20 minutes before to avoid blackouts. That's the impact.
Oh, okay.
That's the impact.
So you see the probability of a lightning strike in this area is that, and we're going to proactively go out and mitigate that risk somehow.
That's in the oil sector, for example, every interruption in the power produces 7 hours of power operational interruption. So we can avoid this with information, timely information. That's the solution.
Aha.
And what was the revenue stream from that sector compared to the military one?
Sorry, what
Who's paying you more, the military or the power company?
Who pays you
obviously, the power sector. Power sector is huge, and in Colombia, those are more than 30 companies. Okay. So the Colombian Army is just one.
But they were fun to work with. Yeah. They had uniforms.
Yeah, but the number of killed people in the army is more than around 25, but more than 100 of injuries. Okay. So that's the size of the problem.
So what's your plan comparing these different sectors? What are you going to do with each one?
Well, the oil sector is scalable because it has 5 businesses: production, extraction, transportation, ports, and refination. So this example is just in production. So you can scale to other parts of the business. And it is just in Colombia. Neighboring countries are similar in problems and needs. So this is the key sector. But this one is also very important for us regarding the opportunity of the business opportunity.
Have you looked at transportation of hazardous goods?
Transportation
of hazardous goods. So if I've got something that's dangerous, which is in a tanker, which is driving down the road, if that gets hit by lightning, it's more dangerous than if a normal truck gets hit by lightning.
Yeah. We have a lot of applications in all industrial sectors, and roads and others are potential customers. That's true.
Jet fuel. Thank you very much.
I'd like to say.
Oh, okay. Hey. I'm loving that. Can we hold it higher? Or are you
Yep.
going to leave it there?
Yeah, nice. Sure.
I'm going to break it.
Maybe let this.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
David's
name
now
is-
going to tell you. Why don't we put it right here? Ah, that's where I want to put it.
Yes.
All right, David, please now start.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is David, founder of Tres Beni, a family company that improves the manufacturing process in factories, doing it faster, simple, and environmentally friendly. We have been designing and manufacturing tools, parts, and simple machines for the last years. I'm from Colombia, and I live in Bogotá. How it works? Yeah. A very congested, polluted city with an average speed of 13 miles per hour, as many cities in Latin America. On the other hand, the city has the best bike path system in Latin America. Distances are not very large, and the weather is stable all year, so we can go anywhere in rush hour faster than a car. Too many people want but cannot commute by bicycle because it's not practical. They need to take a bus connection, bring it to the office. There are places where bicycles are not allowed, or any other situation where a normal bicycle is cumbersome. There are some foldable bicycles, but not enough. Heavy, oversized, and expensive. For example, try to carry this oversized bicycle and get inside this place. In the picture is the main transportation system of Bogotá in rush hour. As you can see, the only thing that you can bring with you is your backpack. So we need a bicycle that can be carried in a bag. We developed a low-cost bicycle made with recycled plastic from bottles and bags, extremely foldable, light, and strong. With only 16, 19 inches and 6 kilograms, it can be easily carried on a backpack. 70% of the bicycle is made with recycled plastic, and it is calculated to be strong, fast, light, and even looks great. Expensive innovations are inaccessible for most people and cannot make a real change. Bicycle is cheap because it was thought for anyone. Not everyone can buy a car, and sometimes neither pay a bus ticket. It's even cheaper if you collect and bring the plastic to produce your bike. We are going to sell it to companies as a benefit for employees, also to the final consumer. After too many tries, we have a prototype, the final design, commercialists, suppliers. The next step is to make the molds and start selling massively. We are looking for fundraising to make the molds, the infrastructure, and start mass production. I'm very grateful because the LEAF program gives me enough tools, knowledge to success my innovation. Also, I made important connection with people working in transportation in the UK and Latin America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very interesting. I'm just wondering how is crowdfunding in South America, because you want to decrease the product adaptation risk, and if you fund it, right? So you get your early adopters. So that's my recommendation, but I don't know the market and how that works.
We just discussed crowdfunding yesterday, and it's a new opportunity
That'll
for
be
them
my
to
best
pursue, absolutely.
Yeah.
Could you tell them how much the bicycle you think will cost?
90 pounds. 90 pounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get his card.
Yeah.
And you believe the folded bike is heavy, and there's a big, what's the manufacturer here that folds the bike?
I think the bicycle is going to be the lighter in the market.
The lightest.
The what market?
Lightest.
The
sorry,
lightest.
Lightest. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's really about the, obviously if you can fit it into a backpack, that is interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You spoke about your business model being B2B, so as an employee benefit.
Yes.
Are there any subsidies
Subsidies.
subsidies already in Colombian companies for transportation?
Yes, companies, big companies, they get to the people money to take bus and to take other transportation system, but there are problems in rush hour. Employees are arriving later because it's almost impossible, as you see in the picture, to get on time. So it's a way for companies to get the employees on time.
And one of the things he had thought about yesterday, which he was going to say, is that it's a great spot for branding there as well.
Yes.
So you can have a bunch of Santanders or.
You can put the name of
So,
the company in the bicycle.
How many molds do you need for this?
I think about 10 molds.
Okay, and all of the, not the wheels, because you're going to buy those, yeah?
Yeah, they will too.
The wheel too?
Yes.
Is it going to be a solid wheel?
The only pieces that are not in plastic are the axes, the pedals, and the brake system.
Okay. I mean, I've bought a lot of molds over the years, and one of the big issues with a design concept like this is that you change your mind as you go through the development. So the first mold is never the same as the last mold. So let's say you're buying 10 molds. It's very easy to waste your money on pilot tooling when if you can make something without spending money on the mold to start with, it's much cheaper and faster. So have you investigated 3D printing for the components first?
Actually, the small prototype is printed, but it's not enough stronger.
Okay.
When you're building the molds, injection machine,
Yeah.
it's more stronger and it can carry about 200 kilograms person.
So what is it going to be molded out of? Polyethylene or some engineering plastic?
Plastic
Yes.
bottles.
Plastic bottles, PET bottles.
And you can't 3D print PET.
No.
Okay.
But the 3D printing process is not, I don't know what to say.
He's asking if you could just test. Like if you want to try, could you use a 3D print with PET to try, or plastic to do trials?
I have tried a lot, and the most stronger material is injection by
Okay.
mold, and it's the cheapest to produce because it's fast.
Because could you machine it instead out of another material which had the same properties as PET, which would save you the molding time, and then you could change things quite quickly? The problem with the molds is that to make a mold that's of a reasonable size will
Yep.
cost you a certain amount of money. Then you have to put it into a molding machine. The contract molding costs are such that you won't want to invest in the molding facility. You'll just want to invest in the molds. Any small change will probably impact more than one of the molds, especially where they interconnect. And so you then end up with your $10,000 that you spent on the first mold, then modified, you spend another $2,000, you might have a completely new mold, 10,000, another 10,000. Depending on how fast you want to produce these, the molds can be very expensive. So a packaging mold, for example, if you have a packaging mold making bottle tops, you might be talking $1 million to $1.5 million for one mold, but it makes a lot of product very, very fast, has a lot of cavities.
Yeah.
These molds are going to be very simple, but you can waste a lot of time getting things done. So my advice would be, come up with a proxy, an alternative to a molded item.
Okay.
Even if it's heavier, even if it's not the right material, get your design absolutely nailed using those other things, even if you have to make it out of steel to start with. It's a lot cheaper in the long run, and it's faster on the development
I
time.
really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Whoa, and next up is Eliana. Ooh, I like it. I'm going to buy one as well. So.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Kick some ass.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Eliana Camargo. I'm industrial engineer. For 8 years, I have involved in agriculture sector, and I found that the key player in the agri-tech industry is the farmer. So he is Nicanor, he's 65 years old, and he is a small traditional farmer in Colombia. When I met him 5 years ago, he had never touched a computer before.
Then when I taught him how to use a computer, he just opened the whiskey bottle to celebrate that moment. And then I realized how is important technology for farmers. Then I just, with my organization, we did digital literacy training for farmers to create this kind of community ready to use technology. But in Colombia, you can see the numbers. So there are almost 10 million people in rural area that are as Nicanor. So then also the supplies are, and there are many stakeholders in the agricultural sector, but they are disconnected. It's very costly trying to achieve more small farmers. Then we co-created Cultivo Red. Cultivo Red is a community platform for farming. So we are connecting small farmers and all the stakeholders in a cheaper, faster, and with a trusted channel. So with in Cultivo Red, we provide digital, online, and offline activities. Our business model is mainly on B2B service. So we charge companies, agri-tech companies, suppliers, to have the access to direct connection with small farmers, which is very useful for them. Then what we have done today, before leave, we have tested our methodologies how to reach farmers, small farmers. We have done, we are running a crowdfunding campaign to create bigger our community, and we have the first meeting of agri-tech industry in Colombia. Then during the leave, I could understand a bigger picture of what my product is. It's a community platform. And then I have connected with agri-tech investors, and they let me know how big are doing other companies successful in India and also in Africa. But how we have done this kind of work, because we have a team of 4 co-founders. They are multidisciplinary from engineering, technology, and finance and designer. So we are asking for funding to receive the income after 1 year running the community platform, and advisory board and big partners with this kind of specific knowledge. So join us to make more Nicanors happy, connected to the world, and cheers for Nicanor.
Good job. Great story.
Can we get another mic?
Do we have 2 mics? No.
And you're connecting the farmers for what purpose?
Okay. From the supply side, for example, companies who provide seeds or fertilizers. So it's very costly for them try to reach out farmers because they are far away. And in the other side, you have small farmers, really like isolated. And they cannot improve, they cannot produce more crops because they don't have easily access to the key technology, the resources, and the information. So I just trying to be the trusted channel, because I found a way to build this kind of trusted communication with the farmers. There is a lack of cultural lack between the big companies and the farmers. Do you know why? It's because the farmer, the mentality, the small farmer, is just they grow crops just for their families, and the companies are with a mind, a big vision about they need to sell more products to the world. So that's this kind of disconnection in the culture makes them like they cannot work together.
And do you farm? Are you finding? I thought his name Mykonos. Do you find him easy, kind of engaged in this, in terms of farmers are wanting to get online?
Yes, definitely. One of
changing.
the cases in this community, I have worked with this community like 5 years, and now I have this community in Facebook. Even if the Nicanor is the oldest, he's very slow getting getting this kind of contact with technology. But now, for example, Nicanor is investing in technology, in smartphones for their family. For example, yesterday I was talking with Rocio, which is the young leader, because through young leaders in the rural area, we can meet Nicanors. So we are seeing that the way we are teaching them how to use technology, they want more. For example, I have many stories, sorry. So one of them, Nicanor, this year I went to the rural area, and I asked Nicanor, why you don't have a smartphone? Because we told you what is valuable having a smartphone, and you can buy one. And he said, it's because you didn't say what kind of smartphone I should buy. So in that question, I see myself, the power we have building with the community.
There's a friend of mine who's got an Indian business where it's micro lending for farmers in India, which he didn't build it for that, but he's ended up with an enormous farmer market that I'll connect you to, because he's got it's microfinance for.
Yeah.
And Indians, bizarrely, and not many people know this, they are very good at paying back money. The default rate for Indians is astronomically low because their reputation is on the line, so they'd rather not eat, but they pay back the money. And so I'll connect you to them.
Definitely, I want.
That's great.
Thank you, I want.
She's actually been thinking of extending additional things like crowdsourcing for the farmers, so
Yes.
people could give some money, and that's another revenue stream she was looking at.
Yes.
So clearly this is about generating opportunities for the farmers, and nowadays there's a lot of talk around local produce and how that's much better for the environment and for everyone. When you can connect the farmers with the companies, obviously the companies have much more power to leverage and negotiate. So how about using the power of your community to connect them to consumers directly? And I don't know, in many cities all over the world, there are all these farmers markets where people are trying to buy locally from their farmers around them, so that the produce doesn't travel a long distance, and therefore it's not frozen, and so on and so forth. And now there are also a lot of online platforms that kind of connect you to your local farmer. So something to consider to keep providing opportunities to the Nicanors of the world.
Thank you.
Yep, there's lots, and one final
Lots
one.
of opportunity.
We gotta go, but one final one I'll just mention she talked about was also thinking about using the strength of her community to actually have a better negotiating power with the suppliers for once. But anyway,
Yes,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And next, come around this way. Next we have Henry, who is literally turning batteries into gold. It's not quite gold, but you'll see. You'll see.
Hi, everyone. My name is Henry Copete, founder of Ecofasis. We created an automatic clean technology for the recycle of all car batteries and to sell the lead ingot to new car manufacturers. In Colombia, 7 million cars need to be recycled, but traditionally worked manually open the batteries. This has high potential acid poison and cancer. Traditional melting process use coal or heavy oil furnaces that with significant negative impact on air and water pollution. Also, there are many low energy efficient in combustion system. You can see. So our technology improves the work condition, improve the energy efficient in combustion system, improve the work environmental, and decrease the environmental impacts. So we have recycled 100,000 pounds funding to build the prototype with good result in better quality of lead bars, less acid pollution, happier employees. I have the patent for the process, and also I have the environmental designs to allow us to recycle all batteries. So in this program, we improve the go-to-market strategy. We will offer a full cycle to collection, transport, the recycle, and the resell the lead bars to the manufacturers. Secondly, we will provide outsourcing for the scrap melting service for our clients. And once we scale up the technology, we will license the technology or the patent in other countries of Latin America. I started an energy solution company with 1 million pounds in turnover. We had different PhD and engineers. So I am looking 800,000 pounds to scale up the technology and to reach 4 million pounds in sales per year. This money is for the first plan, but the market size in Latin America is huge. 34 million pounds can be sold in the future. If you are interested in a clean technology, please contact me after this. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So you mentioned that you're reducing the pollution with your method. Do you know the percentage of the reduction of pollution?
Yes, it's because we use natural gas as fuel. It's a cleaner fuel and environmental friendly compared with coal or fuel oils. It may be 25% or maybe more.
As well as the water and soil pollution.
I'm going to be nice to you, and then I'm going to be horrible to you. It's great what you've achieved. I mean, it's phenomenal, great opportunity. But is this just a Colombian problem? I think in the UK, I have to take my car battery down to a specific dump where they do proper things with it. Is it just a South American LATAM problem, or is it a global problem?
Yes, it's a problem that I identify in Latin America, Colombia, maybe Central America, and UK. I don't know, but there are big companies that make the recycling process. It's a very expensive process, so this is on the start. I think it solved the South American problem.
Maybe even Africa, parts of Asia.
Africa, for sure, Ghana. Which makes me think, like, is this technology kind of scalable to other batteries? So I know in Ghana there's a lot of children trying to remove parts of cell phones to recycle them and resell them.
No, the technology is for acid lithium batteries. The lithium is the most important component in the car uses. For another battery, the technology could be changed.
She's asking if could you in the future adapt the technology for maybe lithium or different heavy metal?
Yes, it's a different process, but the environmental license to allow to recycle the lead. So if for lithium, I need another license.
What is the conversion cost per ton? So if you've recycled 3,000 tons and your potential sales are 4 million, what are your costs to get to that 4 million?
Okay, the 4 million is because the lead as a goal, the lead has a international value, international commercial value.
No,
it's about 200.
That I understand.
Your cost for employee for picking up the battery, your cost of selling. Do you know how much?
On the 4 million sales, what is the profit?
It's about 25%. But with the environmental license allowed to emit a final disposition letter, so I can to look transport company to get the fuel material cheaper and the utility increase.
Okay, so 25% is the profit margin.
Is the minimum.
For now,
if
for the
you
prototype.
buy the batteries.
Yes, yes.
And if you get the batteries for free, what does that change to?
Yeah, the rentability increase.
So to what?
It's good.
That was his second business model, where they actually deliver the batteries and he's basically doing the smelting for them.
Okay.
It'll go from 25% if Willard brings you the battery, maybe 35, 45%? Bigger?
Maybe 45%.
45, okay.
Thank you. And so if you have that, how long will it take you to pay back the investment in the factory?
The payback maybe 3 years maximum. It's a lot of money. It's a good business with social and environmental impacts too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Good job. Next up is Jennifer.
I don't know. I'm not playing that. It's not.
Can somebody help Jennifer out?
The first this is slide. Hello,
She'll do it, she'll do it.
I'm Jennifer. And can you imagine if you could not see, hear, or even use your voice to communicate with the world? Your life will become a real challenge. And this is the real situation for students, blind and blind deaf students in the classroom. I have been working about 2 years with more than 200 students at the schools that have children with disabilities. And I have been able to know the real challenge for those students for communication and for the education. I studied biomedical engineering, and I realized that I can help to improve the situation of these students in the classroom. The problem is a huge problem because in Colombia there is more than 3,000 of students between blind and blind deaf, and they don't have tools, and teachers doesn't have enough training for teach to these students. So I create Be Braille. Be Braille is a technology that is a keyboard that acts as a translator between blind and blind deaf students and the teacher. And how does it work? A student can type in Braille on the keyboard, send a message to the teacher, and the teacher receives the message in his mobile device. That also the teacher can reply the message, and the student can read the message in the keyboard in Braille code. Our business model is about sell our device or rent our device in each school for each blind or blind deaf student. And we have 2 services, and is training teachers and training teachers. This is my team. We are an engineer and a social worker, and we have teachers that support our work. Until now, we have tested our device in 12 schools in Colombia with 15 students, and the next year we will be in 3 schools. And we are looking for NGOs and companies who support and can improve the education of disabled students. I am Jennifer, and we are Be Braille, Inclusive Communication and Education.
Can we go back to the slide of the process, because I didn't understand it. I think there was too much noise at the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just talk me through this again. Sorry.
This is the student.
As the door opens.
The student type into
your machine.
Braille.
Yeah, yeah.
On my keyboard. The keyboard sends the message to the smartphone or to the mobile device of the teacher. Teacher can read the text, clear text or voice message, and teacher can reply the message to the student from his device to the mobile my keyboard. And the keyboard receives
really
the
cool
message
part is
in
the
braille.
reply, because if you're deaf and blind, you can't get educated. And this now, for the first time, lets teachers educate deaf, blind students.
And this is a really dumb question, so excuse me. The blind kids can't type on a normal keypad.
Blind kids what?
They can't type on a normal keypad.
No.
No.
When
I mean,
no, at the school no.
Okay. Then,
Because they don't
they
know
don't touch type.
our language. They know code braille.
Ah, okay.
There's one other thing about her keyboard she forgot to mention, which is, because there are some braille keyboards, and they're tactile. Hers actually, she's invented a vibration that you can actually tell the letters by the vibration, because it turns out blind people experience the world through sound and motion. Yeah, so that's really cool.
So a bit of feedback from me. I think you can make your pitch more compelling. There's 1 billion people in the world that have disabilities. Not all of them are blindness, but it's a huge number. And around 30% of us will experience a disability in our life. So it's a huge thing that people could connect to. So remind me to connect you to the Google Disabilities team at the end. That could be really interested in this.
That's a great connection. You follow up on that one.
The other area is for old people, particularly ones who've gone blind, have macular degeneration and so on. And this could enable them to communicate as well, because they are trying to get feedback either off the television or off other people around them, and given that you're sending a message out via smartphone, there's no reason why that couldn't be connected to a teletext or subtitle service or something like that for somebody who's feeling what is being said, who's dumb or also deaf as well. So I think there's an elderly population, a growing elderly population, and a very rich growing elderly population who could actually fund a lot of the development, because they will pay a lot to maintain a quality of life that they've lost, and that could be fed back into funding the kids in countries where there isn't as much money.
I feel like it's Robin Hood. We'll take from the rich and give to the poor. So not just young, old too, maybe in the future.
We didn't come to the business model, but what you should do, contact me afterwards, what you should do is to find a champion, a well-known celebrity champion who's blind, a global icon. That's what you should look after. And the one to go for is Stevie Wonder. I'm not saying I can contact him, but I think I might be able to get someone who knows him.
Oh.
No more?
No question. Okay, Juan Diego. Is that coffee? Jennifer. She's stolen his clicker. All right.
Okay. Ready?
We are ready. Are you ready?
Well, yeah.
All right.
Yes, my name is Juan. I'm the director of the biomedical engineering program at the University of Antioquia in Colombia. I'm going to present to you Sursims, which is a company that develops surgical simulation technology. So, how is that? Ah. Okay. Thank you. Oh. Okay. Well, the idea of this company emerged because we were working with neurosurgeons and realized that there are many problems in outcomes with patients because of medical malpractice. So it is necessary to make a lot of practice for a surgeon to be proficient. And it's necessary even to practice for 7 years to get a mastery in their abilities. To reduce this long period of time, there are some technologies that use simulation to improve the skills of the surgeon. So there are advanced simulators that use virtual reality and advanced technology to assess the ability of the surgeon. And there are a cheaper solution that is physical models, which are cheaper, but all the time require someone who evaluates your performance. There are problems because for our countries, the solution with advanced simulation is very expensive, and maybe the use of physical model is not enough in many cases. So we are planning something different, something that is between the advanced simulation and the physical simulation technology. Here I have this device which combines physical models with sensors and software in order to implement an advanced solution, which is which has the 60% of the features of the advanced simulators, but the 10% for the 10% of the cost. Right. We have a business model in which we want joint venture with existing companies and then develop advanced simulators and then sell to hospitals and to medical training centers. Also distribute spare parts, software updates, and training programs. At the moment, we are working with a Colombian company that develops physical simulators in order to improve their products for our market. This technology has been patented and tested in our country. And this is the team we are that is developing the technology. 3 PhD, 1 master degree student, and 2 research and development engineer. Also, there's a big group of research and investigation from our country, and we plan to raise 200,000 pounds in order to make this as a final product for the first year of operation. Also, we want contacts to make a network in order to commercialize our technology abroad, or also license our IP to a big company that develop this kind of technology. Right. Thank you.
Have you approached any of the existing manufacturers of the big systems, the expensive ones?
Not at the moment. We have just contacted this company that is based in Colombia, and they developed some simple simulators because we think it is important to prove that this is a good solution, because all our competitors are here with very expensive solutions, with not affordable for our countries, or maybe in the other opposite side. So you have something that costs around 200,000 or something that costs 2,000. So we are in between of them.
Yeah, I mean, what I would suggest is contact the Wellcome Foundation in the UK.
Yeah.
While you are here.
Yeah.
They're next to University College London, and they would be well placed to judge this sort of thing, and also they would have money that would fund this if they thought it was worthwhile.
Nice.
Welcome Foundation. If you know anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know anybody, but I know that that's what they do.
Okay, good recommendation.
I didn't even know of it.
Yeah. Have questions?
Do you have any feedback from doctors that have used your product? Any challenges?
Yeah, currently the product has been tested in our teaching hospital. So in our test, we tested the functionality of the system with neurosurgery residents, laparoscopic surgery trainees, and veterinarians. And it proved that it can measure it can improve the teaching in those applications because they need to practice a lot, and that is not possible to use human patients or animals or corpses because it's very difficult. So this is a good solution for this.
How many of these are sold in the moment in the world, of the other two units, the cheap and the expensive one? How many are sold around the world?
Well, I don't have a number for the whole world, but for example, in our country, there are so few very expensive ones because of the high cost of this technology. But the simple solution, the physical models, is very common.
Okay.
So, but the problem is that you always need someone who to test if you are doing things well or not.
Okay.
The idea is to have an automatic system to assess your skill.
And if you had an automatic system, say in a university where you were training doctors, when they are more junior, before they become surgeons, how many units would you need per university? How many of these devices?
Well, it depends because we need to adapt the technology to every specific need. For example, we have developed some technology for certain application in neurosurgery, for example, some for certain types or application in laparoscopic surgery, but it is necessary to work in each case.
Okay.
There's a custom solution sometimes.
And the cost of customization is what? Is it much cheaper than 10,000?
Yeah, it's as I told you, it's around 600% of the functionality of advanced simulators, but 1/10 of the price. So it's around 10K at most, but it can be cheaper.
But if you customize it for another operation, what's the cost of customizing it?
Well, it depends.
Urology, for example. Urology is how long and how much money?
It depends. If it's necessary to develop some hardware, it is expensive. But if it's something that is software related, it's very easy and cheap.
Okay.
It depends.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have 6 fellows left, so I think it's time to take a quick break, freshen up a little. And please don't go very long, though, just like 5 minutes so we can come back in. While I was here, he just made a connection. David, yeah? Yeah, David just made a connection that could be really valuable for him. So that's great. So thank you all once again. 6 more to go. And while we mic up Juan, we will play with the bike. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm gonna break it. I love this stuff. I'm a biker, and I have this about 10K radius in the city, especially in the summer because I get too sweaty and hot, and I'm like, so I have to take something else, like a taxi or drive, and this would let me get on a tube, then bike. Anyway, we are now going to learn how to do something pretty crazy, which is to take vegetable residue and turn it into organic food that you can eat. Oh, wait, almost. We're not going to learn that yet. We're still figuring it out.
Good to go?
Vegetable residue.
Yes.
Vegetable residue. All right. One.
Colombia in 2016 ended finally more than 50 years of armed conflict that impacted the food security and economic growth of literally 30% of the national land, the national territory. I am Juan, a marine biologist passionate about sustainable food production, and the peace process in my country inspired me to develop this integrated system that will allow us to get vegetable residues converted into biogas or into protein, insect protein meal. With this insect protein, we'll feed fish in a recirculating system. As a product of the metabolism of the protein, the fish will excrete ammonia. The water is going to flow through a biofilter. The ammonia will be converted into nitrate, which is plant food. This enriched nitrate water will irrigate the roots of these plants in an hydroponic system, and the water will come back to the fish tanks depleted of nutrients and cycle again and again and again. Then, when you harvest the products, the fish and the vegetables, you can send the residues again, either to the biodigester for gas generation or heating, or either to the insect farming again. So it's a complete cycle. We developed this a pilot system that we deploy it in a very poor community, low-income community in the rural areas in Colombia. So the biodigester is already tested. The insect farming is being scaled up, and we have the prototype ready to go to start next week. We are going to put the fish in. So our first clients are going to be, the end user will be the poor suburb, the low income communities, and then we'll move to the next market segment will be like commercial farmers. So we are going to establish this system through funding from national governments and NGO agency. We will provide consultancy, training, and maintenance. We already secured 20K funding for developing this pilot, and there is a lot of money, important money from the Colombian government and international governments to fund small productive projects like this. The LEAF program taught me business models, and I have discovered that I don't need to be only a researcher in a lab, but I also can become a social entrepreneur. So we have made some interesting contacts with sustainable development agencies that are going to team up with our group. We have a strong multidisciplinary and experienced group to make this happen. So we are asking for national and international partnerships, particularly for NGOs, so we can get secure 200K and deploy 10 of these systems during the first year and start rebuilding our country and another ones with similar needs. Thank you.
Bravo!
Just a question. And well done on being a social entrepreneur, by the way.
Thank you very much.
You're looking for 200K. Is that
Yes.
okay? Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's for 10 installations.
Yes.
By the end of next year.
Yes, we are going to run this prototype during the 6 months. We are going to get the first harvest in 4 months, fish and vegetables. Then we are going to run a lot of lab analysis to make sure that the products are organic, that can be labeled as organic, so we can get into the organic market. So because there is a lot of social responsibility into the companies and supermarkets, we want to target that market, so these people can sell these products in really high-end good markets and provide like a good...
And the 10 installations will give you what? Lots of data?
Yes.
The proof of concept?
Exactly, and we want to scale it a little bit more. This system, what we have here right now, it's designed to sustain between 7 and 24 families, depending on the fish density. We are going to start it at the minimum density, which is like 10 kilograms per cubic meter. And then we can multiply that factor by 4, but that will be like a gradual process. So the community gets familiar with the systems and they can start producing food. So in these tanks here, the big tanks are going to be for like plants with fruits like cucumbers, tomatoes, zucchinis, and so on. And then the water flows by gravity through these pipes, and we can grow there like lettuces and peppermint and some herbs like with high value also. So at the beginning, it's intended for self-consumption, but we are planning to make this a business for this community.
And if you were to get, I'm not necessarily offering, but if you were to get 500,000, 500,000.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Could you go much faster,
Yeah.
or would you just do more installations?
I will deploy these systems like in several rural areas and the neighborhoods. Just imagine every school, like for example, La Guajira, which is a very desertic area. This system, I forgot to mention a very important feature of this system. This system uses only the 5% of the water, only the 10% of the land compared to the traditional agriculture system to obtain the same amount of crops. So this system recycling water and nutrients, and that's the reason they are so efficient. So you can put it in every school for providing the food for the kids and every community, and if they want to make a business, they can scale it up. Also, we are doing a proposal for a couple of farms, like poultry farmers, big company, to process the waste, and also for a coffee bean grower in Colombia. They are already, hey, let us know how is the pilot going. I would like to get into that. So we want to do it like as a gradual process. But if we have more money, that will be amazing. We will contact all the universities and start deploying these systems in every state of the country, and even in other countries.
I've got a contact in Asia, in Singapore and Malaysia, that might be more relevant from one of their sovereign wealth funds, because certainly the Malaysians would be more interested than maybe Europeans.
Okay, that would be great. Let's talk later then.
In terms of the capital cost of the system, so in order for this to proliferate,
yes,
the cost of the system has to be at a low enough level so that it's worthwhile for the vegetables that then come off it. Have you looked at that at all?
Yes, sir. This system, I think it's pretty cheap. The aquaponics system for the fish and the vegetables production was only 10K with all the equipment, the reagents for monitoring the variables, because you have to monitor variables like pH, ammonia content, but it's like a colorimetric kit, so you can teach the people really easy how to use it.
Yeah.
And this will sustain, as I mentioned, like between 7 and 24 families, depending on the initial fish density that you put in the tanks. So to me, it's very cheap. But yeah, we need to have the numbers, the real production data, and to see if we can like label it as organic vegetables, so we can get into a high-end market.
Yeah, for me, this is just my opinion, but the issue isn't whether it's organic or not organic.
Oh, no, it's food, yeah.
The issue is, for the capital invested, can you suddenly produce more food for the families, and it's cheaper than them just digging and trying to plant it in the ground? Although it uses less space, I can see the advantage of that, and I can see the advantage of it using less water. So I think you should do those calculations next to understand where you are. And then the organic thing is a huge bonus, granted, but I think you've got to do the other step first, which is just in non-organic prices or non-organic costs. How does this compare farming method to another farming method?
Correct.
And the other thing I would suggest is there is a UK company called HydroVeg.
Yes.
Very small startup company, and what they've done is they've done a part of what you've done. They haven't done the fish, they've just done the vegetables.
Okay.
But what they have done is they have done the construction almost vertically.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of at a small angle, they have almost vertical systems which means that the floor area that's being used is dramatically less because they go up.
You can do like in buildings and things like that.
That's right. I mean, they're doing it in structures which used to be out of wood. My company now makes the structures for them.
Okay.
But they are looking at using that vertical space into the air rather than just horizontally. Now, in Colombia, that may not be as much of an issue. But in cities, you want to go vertical because there's less space.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I just want to mention that this neighborhood is a really poor neighborhood in Colombia. Most of its inhabitants came from this violence, displaced by violence all over the place. And with our research group and with the mayor office, we have switched this neighborhood in the last 10 years from this into this. And now they are going to grow their own food, which is amazing.
That is amazing. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Leonardo. By the way, in the last lift, something similar, people were paying them to go collect their residues and leftovers. It could be another revenue model. Hey, oh, you stole it. Oh, no, he didn't steal it. I'm sorry. Okay. Leonardo, please.
Okay. Hello, I'm Leonardo from Bucaramanga, Colombia, and I'm the CEO of UVHPC. And I'm going to talk to you about Robotic Wars, a new sport based on the arcade, a technology I developed during my PhD that just finished 4 weeks ago. So very excited about moving from research towards entrepreneurship. Not working? Okay. Okay, no. So since I was very young, I was always fascinated by phenomena such as this, in which it looks like a single collective intelligence is connecting all of these birds. And I wanted to replicate it, but I didn't have the chance of start working with robotics only since 5 years ago when I started my PhD. But I did manage to work in supercomputing for quite a while, which resulted into the arcade, a software that transforms a set of robots, such as drones, for example, into a supercomputer, therefore creating a single collective intelligence. Now, the arcade has applications in many fields, and this was a bit overwhelming in the sense of choosing which direction to target initially. So during my time here in London, I decided to focus on drone sports and e-sports, because their markets are growing very fast. Because from the technical point of view, it will be much faster to build a product in here than in other fields. And also because personally, I will find it very exciting and quite fun. So I introduced Robotic Wars, a new sport similar to paintball or laser tag, but including robots. Autonomous by default, but that can also be controlled remotely. Therefore, Robotic Wars is also an e-sport. During my time here in London, I approached several people within the laser tag arena, a vendor here in the UK, a manufacturer in Russia, an open door venue here as well, which is very interesting for my vision on the sport, and as many potential users as I could. This for Robotic Wars as the e-sport. Now, regarding the e-sport, I spoke with a somehow renowned e-sport player, and also I spoke with investors and mentors interested in similar applications, which resulted in an initial business model, whose product is a hardware plus software solution that can be attached, for example, to a drone. The customer segment will be attraction parts, laser tag fields, and revenue will come from unit sales. Now, if this model is validated, I would like to move into a second one, targeting the e-sport combination. Therefore, the customers will be events attendees and e-sports gamers, and revenue will come from tickets, subscriptions, and advertisers. What I'm looking now is for introductions with R&D and executives from companies such as NVIDIA, ARM, or the Raspberry Pi Foundation. The last one very interesting because the arcade, the core technology, was demonstrated using Raspberry Pis. And overall, these companies are potential key partners for the global vision of UVHPC, that is to target all of these markets that I showed you before. Thank you so much.
Oh. There's an ARM in Cambridge. I'm sure someone here knows a contact at ARM. Maybe. I actually have a contact at ARM I can introduce you to.
Okay, cool.
I didn't know you wanted somebody at ARM. They're all puzzled.
Yeah.
They're thinking.
Can you just scroll back through the presentation and just explain the business model in terms of what your revenues, where they're going to come from, what your costs are, and so on? I didn't quite understand where you were.
Okay, at this moment, this is an initial attempt, so I just have 4 weeks as an entrepreneur, and 2 of them here in London. But the idea is to have this box that you see in there, packed with a camera and a laser device and a companion computer on board, for example, a Raspberry Pi or NVIDIA, etc., running the core technology, which is the arcade, and the robotic softwares on board on top of the arcade. Now, the cost will be related to the manufacture of this and the development of the technology. So the arcade is a stage, but it needs improvement, and then the robotic software will need to be developed. Then the customer segment will be attraction parts and laser tag fields, people who will put this box into, for example, a drone and use it for a specific game. And then revenue will come from selling this hardware plus software solution. Now, this is an initial approach that I would like to go then afterwards into the sport or e-sport itself, in which UVHPC, the company, is the organizer of this event, in partnership with some drone organizations in the world, such as the Aerial Sport League in the US and other relevant in Europe, etc.
And your background is in gaming or in engineering the various components, or have you just picked this because you thought it was cool?
Supercomputer scientist.
I'm a systems engineer. I have a PhD in aerospace science and technology.
Okay.
And my main focus has been during 10 years in supercomputing, but usually building like large supercomputers to solve very complex problems. So I work in physics, biology, etc. And then during my PhD, I wanted to combine this knowledge with robotics. So what I did was creating this technology, the arcade, which transforms a set of robots into a supercomputer. Therefore, the more robots that you have, the more computing power you have. And you can transparently synchronize data, redistribute tasks if something fails or something. Now, the applications of that technology are very broad, and in the long term, I want to go into precision agriculture, search and rescue, all of these fields where drone applications are being useful. But the thing is that in some of these fields, for example, precision agriculture, it will take much R&D to get to a valid product, while on eSports will be much faster. It could be done, let's say, in 1 year estimation, and then go to the market, provided that these models are validated. Now, what I want to do is go into discussing with customers, with all of these people in this value chain, to see if it is worth to go into this direction.
And the gamers, so you've got the arcade infrastructure already. You've
The software, it's a software, yeah.
Okay, and that's your software?
Yeah, I developed it during my PhD, yeah.
Okay, what I don't understand is why you need the hardware. Why couldn't you just, why do you need to have reality laser tagged? I don't understand that piece.
Maybe I should be clear about the sport itself. So the idea is that you have, so I'm sure you have played or even see paintball or laser tag. Yeah. So the idea is that now you will have the teams made of people plus autonomous robots. So the software, which is my IP, will have to be deployed to the hardware, which will be the robot. To do this device, this box that I was showing you, the idea is that it's an autonomous. So, for example, the software controls the motion of the laser so that the robot can autonomously detect somebody in the field and then shoot at the person, right? So that is what is software, but it needs to be deployed over a robot. Now, the software also offers cooperation between software that is running in multiple robots. Therefore, you have the supercomputer. Therefore, for example, in the game, imagine that somebody defeats one of the drones. So the drone is defeated out of the game. But because it's a supercomputer, this drone can tell the other drones or rovers or the people in his team to tell where the person is located. So therefore, it's cooperative. This is the idea of involving supercomputing with robotics. Plus, the fact that when you have supercomputing, then you can theoretically scale to have any quantity of robots, which would result very advantageous, not only in this, it will be fun in this, but in other fields, it could have a huge impact.
I think the thing that you need to look at when you look at this in a bit more detail is how many venues you need to have to make it pay, how many robots you need to buy, and then the customer flow before you do any more work.
Yep.
So you can do all of that on one piece of paper and work out what you're going to charge per event how much you have to charge, how many people you have to go in. All of that you can do without any extra science, development, technology. Work out the commercial landscape of your company and go into quite a lot of detail and ask other people whether the inputs make sense.
Okay, yeah.
And once you've done that, then that will inform what your next development steps will be, because you may turn out that you actually ditch 40% of your ideas because you know they don't bring any revenue or they cost too much, but you keep 60% that really makes the system work. But I would recommend you do all of that on a single piece of paper. And if you can't do that, you need to stay doing it until you've done it.
Yeah, definitely.
Might end up licensing his IP to drone companies.
Yeah, there are different approaches, but also...
We need to, unfortunately, let the next fellow have their chance, but thank you very much. The next fellow, I had the opportunity to have dinner across the table from with a bunch of fellows, and she really inspired me with the impact she's having, and I have a feeling she'll inspire you as well, Marian.
Thank you.
Nah.
So hi, my name is Marian Villa. I'm from Medellin, Colombia, and I'm here to share you Women. But first, I'd like to introduce you Pioneras. Pioneras is the biggest community for women in tech in Colombia. So this is Milady. Milady is a typical girl for the comunas, the poorest areas in Medellin. She has no job. She was no job and couldn't sustain her family. Through 1 year of real commitment to the community, she could afford to get her first job and became her first income in her family. So what we find is the young women in Colombia are poor and unemployed, 23% of them. On the other hand, companies are struggling to fulfill jobs in developer areas. Actually, we need 100,000 developers right now, and we only have 7,000 of them. So we create Women is mentorship for women in tech. So what we do is when these girls, there are a lot of platforms online to learn how to code. And also you can do videos, free videos in a big famous platform online. But when you are trying to achieve goals in these areas, you feel really frustrating because you can't get a prompt, a message in your laptop, an error message, and you need someone to review your script and the way you do your code to decode and debug it. So we create a platform to match mentors and mentees. So mentors are qualified and really talented people who could give expertise and time to these women, and they give them reviews and ratings, so companies get the most qualified talent prospects to apply for a new job. So basically the model is pay-per listing. So recruiters can advertise jobs in the platform for promote the brand or fulfill their jobs. We already launched it. We have right now organic growth in 18 months. We circa have 400 active users. And here in London, I really get to know how to translate a non-profit organization to be a social entrepreneur and also get some advisors. We are a board of women, practically all of us with no technical background, and right now are working in tech industry. So we are also case of success of the community on this support group. As I say, the channels that we already have, we run 66 meetups in all Colombia. We're in 3 main cities and expand to 6 cities right now through meetups. We already run a successful bootcamp, and the rate of graduate in this bootcamp was 85%. And we are going to launch the first conference for the next year, and all of this with the support of our platform, online platform, Women. What we look is for 100 Ks to run this, because all of this organic growth was for no money. We don't have money. We pay volunteer. So if we have this kind of resource, we know that we can grow exponentially and we can get the 4 millions that they needed developers in Latin America.
Bravo!
Have you got any sponsorship from the companies that need the developers?
Yeah, actually, we get they already help us, but with the venue and the food for teaching the girls, because we're running like as a charity. But if I like to grow and be sustainable, I need that kind of commercial model. So that's why we create this first product that is women. But actually, we already do a pilot to a crowdfunding. We asked for $1,000 online, and in 1 hour, we reached with 7 donors the $1,000, because they help us to fund the nonprofit organization. Began as a study group, and then with this money, we funded like an NGO.
But if you know, she'll always take more.
Yeah, sorry.
You should really ask them for money. I mean, like, you know, a free office space and some food is nice, but like, you know, you got to commercialize this. So there has to be real value, and you demonstrate that by getting people to pay checks. So.
Yeah.
Could you become registered as a university and then get paid, your employees be paid for by the state as state employees? Or the state take a stake in your company and call it a university for coding?
Yeah, actually, I think Ruta N, that is the innovation hub that brings us the Colombian community here, has a fund for technical developers. So that will be our first step. Are 3 things. One, generate profit, because we already have 400 people in our platform. But if companies pay us, we can charge them for job listing. One. The second one will be apply for a grant and perhaps create these connections with the academies, because they need a platform to support also the struggling that we have when you are learning code.
Yeah, I mean, I do quite a few of these things, and quite often you get business teams with startups, certainly here in the UK, young students, and they have got a fantastic idea and they want to progress it, but then when it comes to the actual coding, they get stuck and they just, oh yeah, we'll raise money to do that. But you could provide that as a service as well, and presumably much more flexible and at a cheaper cost as well, because you're young programmers, almost like an artistic portfolio, you have a programming portfolio. But you could maybe offer that as a service to small companies within Colombia that don't have the resources to pay a proper programming company. They come to you and do cheaper projects. And that you could link that as part of the graduation of these students. So they have to do a proper project paid for by a proper company, and that circles the money round.
Yeah, it's really clever. I am thinking about that too.
Another option, building on your point, so I think you have 2 things here. One is your talent, so that is your assets, what you can kind of build on, and then you will have like your platform to grow the talent, right? So you need to make your platform sustainable, so all the costs and stuff, you need to figure it out, but then you could also think about how to make the most out of your talent. And while I was listening to you, I was thinking like, there's a very famous woman in the UK called Dame Stephanie Shirley. I don't know if you've heard about her, but she was the first woman in the 60s to build a company of only women coders. And they charged by project, by the hour. So to your point, you could become like your own company, where if someone comes in and looks for dev talent, you could sell the hours or assign people to projects. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity, because you are in a candidate-led market where there's so much demand for what you're offering. So definitely room to think about what to do with it.
Okay.
Do your coders code in PHP?
Yes, PHP,
Like
Ruby,
JavaScript.
Python, JavaScript. Also, they became leaders for their specific language chapter. So we have like all whole new communities and all umbrella from pioneers.
Make sure you charge them a headhunting fee. All right, thank you very much, Marian. Ricardo.
Yeah.
Come. Looking sharp, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, shit.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. There we go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ricardo Alba. I'm in environmental engineering, and I'm the co-founder of EcoGroup H2O+. Guys, did you know that 77 million of people didn't have access in Latin America, and that 1 million PET bottles are discarded every minute? Well, this is our solution for that problem. We built an eco wall, or an eco muro in Spanish. We built a vertical rainwater system to collect the rainwater for the pure communities. We keep the water in the bottles, we filter the water, and we give the same water to the pure communities in our communities. It's a good solution because you don't need a lot of space to build in. It's like a wall, and that's fantastic. We are the cheapest kind of tank that we sell in our country. Our manufacturing price is 35 pounds, so that is very cheap, and the cost of sale is 140 the price of the sale of our tank. Our value propositions is safe water, access to water, SDGs, impact, reputation, and local goals. Our niches, families, NGOs, and public sector, but our main important niche is private sector. They're going to buy our system, and they currently do it, and through the CSR program, they donate the eco muro or the eco walls to families that don't have access to safe water. Well, my family is my team. So my sister, graphic designer, my father, architect director, me, I am environmental engineer, and my mother is a master in environmental education. But our family is now bigger. Why? Because we have 348 beneficiaries now, and that is amazing. So what we want? We have a lot of impacts, 10,500 plastic reused, 8,000 cubic meters of rainwater reused the last year, and 50,000 direct beneficiaries in all the work that we have in my country. That is a lot of impact, and it's amazing for us. Yeah. So what we want for you? We need 100,000 of pounds to keep manufacturing facilities and marketing in our product. We need now a physical a space to work, because we have a lot of sales now, and we want to benefit 360 families with that grant. So, jury and fellows, I need your help to continue and keep transforming realities now. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Well done, well done. I'm not, it's a small question, I'm not clear on the word beneficiaries. What do you mean by beneficiaries?
Now we have 348 beneficiaries.
What do you mean by, we don't use
Families.
that word.
Sorry.
Families, the people who are getting the water?
Oh, I see.
they are
Okay,
families.
these aren't people who have invested, okay.
Yes.
Yes,
It's a social enterprise, so we build like 1,000, now we 1,000 systems installed now and working in our community. A lot of that systems are for poor people that don't have access to water, so now we have 348 persons.
And what's the business model? How do you make money?
Oh yeah, yes, of course, we do it, of course. Is this one. Yeah. We sell our product to the private sector, reduce the taxes, reduce the taxes in the country, and through the CSR program, corporate social responsibility program of each company, they're going to provide or give one model for 162 liters for one family in poor condition. So that's the point. In LEAF was interesting because they teach me that I can sell my eco muro, my wall, to the family, and they pay a little bit part of that price, because in some occasions they don't appropriate the technology for their benefit. So they do it. Yeah, well, the private sector will be provide or donate the tank, but the family can pay a little part of the tank too.
So access to safe water is a problem that a lot of NGOs are trying to solve, not just in Latin America, but also in places like Africa and Asia. Have you thought about exploring the possibility of connecting with NGOs to this solution?
Yes, of course, and we do it now, but we do it locally now. We work with the Red Cross in my country, with Rotary groups too, and we are now exporting some little, like 4 kits only in another regions in Latin America. So we sell the kit. It's like the cost is like 1,600 pounds, and you pay for the kit like whatever product, and they going to their sell in their houses, so we can apply the technology very easy and very fast. That's the idea.
In terms of the cost of the wall,
Yeah.
what is the most expensive part?
Oh, the most expensive part in the I think that is when the materials.
Yeah.
The raw materials.
Is it the metal frame, or which is the most?
Sorry?
There's a metal frame. Is that the most expensive?
Yes, exactly. It's like take the let's take the wall, because we cover with a drywall wall. That's the cost part. The manufacturing things is very easy because you do it an eco wall like in 2 hours, so you don't need a lot of time for pay the workers or whatever. So I think that is the main important part.
So I don't understand. So the manufacturing cost, you've got all these bottles,
Yeah.
which you pretty much get for free.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the rest of the £35 spent in? Is it the metal frame?
Yes.
So is there a way, I mean, one of the things that strikes me is the thing that's going to stop your growth is going to be the things that take a long time or cost a lot. And if you look at what you've got there, the key to it is the free bottles that you're using.
Yeah.
But what if you could get rid of the frame?
Oh.
And make it very fast to install, so it's even easier. So rather than 2 hours, why not 10 minutes?
Oh yeah, we can.
Instead of having a frame
Yes,
like that,
exactly. That's the point.
because that frame needs some expertise, it needs some special equipment,
Yes.
it needs somebody to fabricate it, you need to get steel there.
Yes, of course.
So if you could modify your system to remove the frame, or have something which is maybe molded that you could put together with the bottle so that the bottles actually hold themselves up.
Yes.
In the same way that you might have a multi-pack. If you go into a store and you buy lots of bottles together, you buy 6 of them in one go, and there's something holding them together.
Okay, understand.
Take the idea of the multi-pack and apply it to the bottles, and try and make it even simpler and cheaper. And then the business and the result will expand much faster. I can see that the frame and the time to put the frame up is the single biggest thing that is going to hold you back. So the more time your family can spend working on that to get rid of the frame, the more successful you're going to be.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm gonna try to do that, and I need a seed grant to expand my company now. But
Going
thank
back
you so
to your
much.
ask, even though we're out of time, if anyone has connections with multinational NGOs or things like that, I think you're right. This would be great in Africa, Asia, everywhere. It's just, it doesn't have these connections, so that'd be really good. So thank you.
Bye, Mom.
Yeah, okay, next up is Sarah, who's going to tell us about her detection and monitoring tool.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Sara. I'm a biomedical engineer and a project manager in a research group. I will introduce you MDATIV. So the same problem. Sorry.
Other way, yep.
Hey, I start with a question for you. Have you ever thought about what is the cost of our comfortable life? What is the price to some people pay for our nice life? For electricity, for gas, for the oil? Well, a lot of people have to work in a dangerous and very risky jobs and extreme climate situations. They get injured and maybe they will live with war-related diseases for the rest of their life. So think about this: disability pension, social support, medical leave, and the cost to train and onboard new people is a huge cost. For companies like mining, extraction, aero plants, oil rigs, the employees are very specific, and recruiting and training new people is very difficult and costly. So it's a big cost for the employees, for their families, for the companies, and for us. Everybody loses. We need a big problem and we need a solution. Preventive medicine is the solution. If in these companies, when the operation never stops, then we know they could know the real health condition of the employees. They will know when to employ and how to deploy the preventive medicine. But what happened? In the regular process, you go sometimes to the doctor. They take the main vital signs, and well, it's a mistake in the middle. Maybe it's a wrong diagnostic. So because that, we develop ENDATIV, a continuous, real-time, wearable vital signs monitor system. With this device is designed to measure the most important vital signs and have a strategic sensor to reduce moving noise. So an employee can use the device and have a normal workday. So we are at the beginning. We want to be sell the device and ask for a month fee for training and reporting. We have a national patent. We have a prototype tested in hydroelectric in Colombia with very good results. And after these 2 weeks, we have now our first business model. So we need to continue with the clinical trials, get the sanitary approval for the commercial test, and iterate to improve the device and the business model. This is our team, the scientific guy, the Fabian, the technical guy, and me, the management girl. Before the leave, I was an optimistic and dreamy person. Now I can say an entrepreneur with a lot of things to improve and learn, but I am still optimistic, but I'm now a very, very realistic visionary. We are looking at partners with experience in selling to industrial enterprises or experience in taking medical and healthcare technology to the market to help us. If you know somebody can help us, I need to meet that. Thank you.
This is my personal opinion, what I'm about to say. I think for the market that you're looking to address, I don't think you need a clinical trial with the same rigor, because you're not selling a drug. You're selling a service. You're helping the company who's the client. So in the companies that I'm involved with, if the service or the product that you have is cheap enough, cost-effective enough, then I would buy it without a clinical trial. Because I would take it at red that it worked, and if it didn't work, okay, our money would be wasted, but nobody would be hurt. Therefore, there's no need, in my opinion, this is only my personal opinion, to have a clinical trial. I think what you need to focus on is what is the difference in cost between something that you're offering and something that is on the market already, like a Fitbit, or some of the worn devices that you can buy off the shelf. Because again, if I'm a purchaser, company purchaser, and I have the choice of buying 100 Fitbits for my staff and then giving them some software, your product and offering needs to be different, either cheaper or better, offering more solutions, or more private. So
we have the complete system,
okay,
hardware and software. We have a useful useful signals for a diagnosis for a doctors.
Okay.
And we are a modular system, so we can adapt the solution to different needs in the companies.
So go to a company
Yes.
and offer the system for
Yes,
free.
for that we need iterate with the customers. We need to validate the business model, the customer.
Okay, well, get them to say what they would pay for it, because they've obviously got a cost in converting and retraining their employees, and do a profit share. So if you say to them, well, every year you spend this much in recruiting, this much in training, if you use our system, we think we're going to reduce this by half, you give us 50% of what we save you. And it's the fastest way to get a customer, because for them, they do a trial, there's no upfront cost, there's no risk for them, and you get your use case demonstrated immediately, but you get money as they save money.
He's suggesting start this before you get any licenses. Just go out and try.
Go to the
Absolutely.
aisle.
And one of the things that's really cool, like she didn't say when she says module, you can put on, like if you're in a mining company, like gas sensors, whatever, oximeters, all these crazy little things that Fitbit wouldn't have. But he says just go out and try it with a company. And someone was doing co-creation here with like the Army, for example. And that's kind of what he's saying, is they'll help you, give you the value. Sorry.
So I love that, and building on what you said, I have two ideas. The first one is that you read a book called Prototyping. So it's about, prototype is can I build it, and the prototype is should I build it. So like just so that you know if you are kind of going through the right thing, and like testing with someone is such a good idea. And then
I have to write that down because I missed it as well.
Oh, it's a great, or also you can look at the YouTube lecture, it's fantastic. And the second idea, oh yeah, so building on what you said about having an extra added value, if you're going to work with a partner with like extreme working conditions like mining or whatever, you're going to collect a lot of data around what kind of environments are dangerous, and you're going to have like precise feedback to like give back to companies so that they can improve their working conditions. So that could also be part of like the value add.
This is our next step.
And then also mental health. People are having breakdowns all over. So obviously dangerous jobs are like maybe more obvious for this type of innovation, but you should also consider like with existing things that are already there, like what can you do to provide all these companies that are giving benefits of like meditation apps and all these things to their employees? Maybe there's a way to detect earlier that someone's going to have a breakdown because of their heart rate. I don't know how you can measure it, but...
So a good example to that point would be a bus driver or a train driver, because they have quite high stress jobs.
Yes.
And if you can track them over time, so there have been several accidents in the UK recently where a lot of people were affected, where the driver of the train or the tram fell asleep and went through a corner too fast or something like that. So outside of the traditional hazardous industries, there are some responsible industries like bus driver, train driver, where your equipment may be very valuable. And the insurance companies would be another group.
It's another channel, maybe.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I mean, what?
Yeah, it's great about the wellness too.
I would take each of these segments. So your mining segment, your train driver, your insurance company, and find at least one company with which you do a project in parallel. Do them all at the same time. Tell the companies you're not ready, that you're learning. They won't expect anything. And then tell them the deal is that if they save any money during the year, they pay you half. And then you won't need to raise the money, and you'll get the validation straight away. And the more different use cases you run in parallel, the more chances that you'll find one of them is a really good one. If you just do one at a time, or if you just raise the money, you'll lose most of the company and you'll run out of money. Whereas if you do it this way, you may find that they come to you and say, actually, we'd like to invest because we've got lots of different factories or lots of different end use cases.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate a lot of that opinion. Do you want to be our UK partner?
Sorry?
So do you want to be our UK partner? Bravo, good ask. Our final fellow of the day, which means he's got a lot of pressure on him to do a great job. Sergio!
Yes. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Sergio, and I'm the co-founder of Aprendiendo. There's a huge problem in Latin America. There's a 50% of dropout rate. That means that 50% of the students who actually get into the university cannot keep learning in the university. So this is basically because many things, but basically they cannot achieve the basic skills on reading, maths, or around science. And this is mostly because universities has to need customized or not customized courses. Are very standardized, so this is not personalized for every way of learning at the university. So this leads to universities are losing money because they basically base their model through their enrolled students, or active students. Also, companies are not able to get the professional that they need to hire, and mostly students are not getting good jobs, so they cannot achieve a good career. So what we created Aprendiendo. Basically, 2 years ago, I decided to quit my job because I lived this problem, being a student, being a teacher as well, being a tutor. So I realized that the market needed something else because students cannot keep in the same pace as others. So we created this platform. In this platform, what we do is to teach to the students custom-made courses where we take the best students, we contract them, and we create the course with them. We record them, we help them how to teach through our online methodology, and finally, we deliver the course through a subscription model to hundreds of students. We deliver our platform through a freemium subscription model where the student can get all access to our content as a Netflix subscription, for example, but for education. Through our platform, actually, we give students a lot of resources to share with others and to interact with teachers. But actually, this is our most important metric, and this is 90% of our students actually raise their grades and improve in their performance at the university. We have reached to 10K monthly revenue, 3,000 active students per our freemium model, and 70 courses we have made. We are right now in Peru and Colombia. And this is our team. I'm Sergio, I'm the CEO, Fernando, and we have a team basically around software development and also content. We are looking for Spanish-speaking university, students association, or investors aligned with our vision. And I'm glad to be actually the last one because I can say that I feel very proud to share my experience with all of you guys as fellows because we need more professionals as you guys. I feel very inspired, and this is my killer for all of the program because the world needs you guys, entrepreneurs, engineers, successful, and with an impact-driven vision. And we, Aprendiendo, want to be there helping students to improve their skills. Thanks so much.
Bravo! I'm pretty sure you can get Marianne's students to start becoming the tutors for you as well at some point.
Sure.
Whew.
So, who pays you the 10,000 at the moment?
Basically, we're based on a subscription model where we charge the student around $20 per month. We launched like 6 months ago, so we are really in a very new subscription model. We launched at the very beginning of this year. So this is so far what we have done with 400 paying students.
And how much revenue does the university lose by having 50% of their students quit?
Actually, the 50% of the dropout rate is only on the first year. That means that it's huge, the amount of base of students that already have the effort, especially in LATAM, to get into a university I cannot pass.
No, cannot keep going. If a student drops out, how much money does a university get for a student?
Sure, imagine there's a 50% dropout rate and only the first year. And in Latin America, there's, in average, every career are like 5 years. So based on revenue, they could lose like more than 70% of the all revenue in a year. Imagine if we can reduce this 50% to 25%.
What's the cost of a course?
A cost of a course?
Yeah.
Based on our metrics, financial metrics?
No. The university, if they lose one student,
yes.
What's the revenue they lose for that one student for 1 year?
Okay. In average, in Latin America, it could be like in private universities, like around I'm thinking on it, like maybe $10K or even
10K.
Between 5K, 10K, depends on the private university, but it's huge anyway.
Okay, so I think what you need to do is you need to do your calculation again, take some money from the student, but also get paid by the university.
Yes, actually, we recently launched based on the B2C side, but we are here in the LIFT program because we wanted to see how we can deal with new business model as exactly the same that you are saying. That is how it could be like to approach universities and to being the official provider of tutorials and tutors and digitalize that content to help students could keep going. Actually, I made some contacts here during the LIFT program to launch it in some universities in Colombia and in Latam as well. So that's why we came here actually, to try to get into the B2B side through universities and through companies as well, because they are also implementing this like education programs and these kind of things.
Just one note of clarification that we had discussed earlier. He wants to build up some of the courses, and the actual tutors are coming from the classes of those universities, so they're uniquely positioned to give like interesting and sort of more appropriate tutoring. And he wants to get a sort of a pile of these, some traction, to go back to the universities and say, look, this is really working. The dropout rate of these students in your courses is lowering. You will save a lot of money if you start paying us. So yeah, it's something he had thought about.
Okay. Sure. I mean, that's definitely the right way to go. I think, I'm just curious, this is quite early, but what are the engagement metrics so far? What courses are popular? What are the dropout rates? Do you see the same as in, what are the engagement metrics? How is your funnel?
Actually, those are like one of our biggest challenge, because most of our students that are paying us their subscription is because they only are failing like in one specific course. So at the very beginning, we decided to launch a strategy to only sell course by course. But when we decided to move into the subscription model, even though if we can lose money, because it is even more difficult to keep creating content at the same level that they are demanding, but we can also at the same time increase the volume of the students and to increase our impact into more universities and into more courses and into more people. So basically, our metrics are a student could get an average 3 courses, take 3 courses in average. We have a churn rate of around 40%. That means that 40% of the students can keep going with us, only take the help actually for the exactly exam, and they can don't decide to don't keep paying. But that's why we need to increase the.
So that's almost the same as the dropout in universities. The difference is 10%.
Yeah, sure, but what we are trying to do as well is we recently launched our subscription model, and students are increasing their grades, even though if they only take 1 course. But we are helping them and increasing the impact at the end for them.
You gotta demonstrate.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I think we should all give a warm thank you to the Royal Academy of Engineering, and in particular the LIFT team that brought us all here. It's an amazing, amazing opportunity. Every year, I'm just blown away by how great you guys are. I know the judges will have a difficult time balancing out which is the best, which is how to choose, and it's just awesome. It's a huge opportunity. So I'm not sure I see anyone from the Royal Academy here, and actually our in-country partners as well. Thank you for selecting and bringing all the great fellows. But let's go have some lunch, leave the judges to decide, and big round of applause for yourself. Bravo!